But which candidate does independent business want in the White House? Small businesses. Let's bring in Ravin Gandhi, founder and CEO of GMM Nonstick Coatings, a Hong Kong headquartered supplier to brands like KitchenAid, George Foreman, and Farberware. He thinks Hillary Clinton would be best for business. And also joined by Joe Dutra. He's president and CEO of Kimmy Candy Company, a Reno, Nevada-based candy manufacturer. He thinks Trump is the most business-friendly candidate. Let me start, Ravin, with you. Why do you think Hillary Clinton would be better for business than a businessman?
Well, I'll give you another businessman. Warren Buffett, one of the greatest businessmen of our time, just came out and said, what we need for business in 2016 is to make America work again for anyone who's willing to work. And that means strengthening the middle class. If you look at my business, every day 40 million Americans across this country use my product. I am very concerned about the middle class. And if I look at Secretary Clinton's policies, certainly versus Mr. Trump, on things like immigration, on health care, on tax cuts for small business, I think that she absolutely is a much better choice than Mr. Trump if he gets the nomination.
Joe? Your response?
Well, I believe that the response for me would be that, Trump or people that are pro-business, more fiscal conservatives, we're looking at small businesses that are based in the United States, where I have to pay taxes with regards to my employees, and I'm stifled with regulations and stuff. I'm looking for someone that makes government a lot easier. I'm looking for someone that has the ability to lower taxes, not raise taxes. And I think, I agree with Ravin. We need to get people working in the United States. And I believe that a businessman or somebody with more conservative fiscal responsibilities is better for that job.
Ravin, tell me again, what is your #1 reason you think it's better to have a Democrat in office?
Well, you're framing it politically, but I am pretty passionate about the fact that Mr. Trump uniquely is not positioned to be the leader of the free world. And let me tell you why. First of all, 40% of all the companies in the Fortune 500 were either started by an immigrant or the son of an immigrant or the child of an immigrant. I am the child of an immigrant. And Mr. Trump wants to end immigration as we know it.
Ravin, wait a second. You're being a politician on me. Okay. That's not. I didn't ask you why Trump shouldn't be. I asked you why Hillary should be. You're not running for office, are you?
I certainly am not running for office.
Question about Hillary, not about Trump. Please, sir.
Okay, well, I will tell you, there are certain aspects of Secretary Clinton's policies that I disagree with. But I certainly think that from an immigration perspective, from a healthcare perspective, and from an economic perspective, Secretary Clinton's policies will be far better for the gigantic middle class in this country than Mr. Trump's would. Mr. Trump would be a disaster for trade. He wants to start a trade war between China and Mexico. Can you imagine what would happen if the average American...
But it sounds like yours is just an anti-Trump vote and not necessarily a pro-Clinton vote.
Look, I'm a realist right now, and I have to focus on who's actually going to be best for this country between those two. And I know that Secretary Clinton and Mr. Trump have very high negatives. So to some extent, I voted for Democrats and I voted for Republicans in the past. I am an independent. But in the end, Mr. Trump is such a freewheeler. He is talking about starting a nuclear arms race in Southeast Asia.
Is the way it sounds right now.
Oh, well, look, I mean, I'm going to vote for Secretary Clinton over Mr. Trump, okay? And I think a lot of Americans feel that way. And if Mr. Trump loses in historic fashion this November, as I hope he does, I think it's going to prompt a serious soul-searching in the GOP. And I love the GOP, but why did why is the standard bearer of their party such an extremist who is turning off so many Americans with these radical statements?
All right, Joe, let me ask you, let's see if you can make a better case for Trump than he did for Hillary, because he really is against Trump and not for Hillary. So can you tell us why Trump really should be the next president of the United States?
Well, and this is not an endorsement. This is just a philosophical way I think. I think that, we need to have less taxes. We need to have stuff like the death tax repealed. And this is what Trump is talking about. He's talking about a simplified tax code that reduces the amount of levels in our tax system. I look at somebody that, immigration's a big issue. We're not going to solve immigration overnight, but I think people should come into the country legally. I also believe that we need to create more jobs. And the way we create more jobs is we give small businesses like mine and people that are startups, we give them the tools to allow them to get around having so many regulations that stifle small businesses.
On that,
now, Ravin's living in, he's doing business in China. It's a little harder to do business here in the U.S.
Yeah. Well, folks, we have to leave it there. I'm sorry, Ravin, we're out of time. I beg your pardon for interrupting there. Joe, we appreciate it. We'll continue this conversation, I'm sure. I'd like to have you both back, talk a little more about it. Appreciate it, guys.
Thank you, gentlemen.